Hey guys, it's Kevin ready for Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 5, Kill the Boy. And I know a lot of people are not really enjoying the season, but I don't know, I'm really enjoying the season. I don't know what it is, but I'm loving this season. And we're now at the halfway point of the season. I have to say this is probably the best episode of the season. I love this episode. I thought it was another fantastic episode. I loved where we're going with this episode. And a lot of people, I don't know why, but they're just not enjoying the season. And I think it's just because there's not as much happening. That doesn't mean it's bad. I don't think it's a bad season. I think this is a great season. No, it's not the strongest season, but I think it is a great season. It's not a terrible season. But let's get into this episode because tons of shit happened as usual, and there's a lot to talk about. So we see Missandei. Of course, we had that huge thing last week with the Sons of the Harpy, and right away we see the aftermath of that. So Missandei watches over Grey Worm as he lays unconscious in bed, and Daenerys and Daario watch over Barristan Selmy's lifeless corpse. So right away, Barristan is dead, which I pretty much saw coming. Barristan is dead, which I thought was kind of surprising, but yeah, I saw it coming. So, I mean, he sacrificed himself, so I knew he was going to die. So, Hillsdar enters and expresses his condolences, and Daenerys is grieving, and it's understandable why she's grieving. I mean, a lot of her people were killed, and I like that she actually does care about it, because last week didn't really seem like she had any concern about it, which now it seems like she does. So, Dario starts strategizing their next move, and Daenerys says she wants the leader of each of Meryn's great families brought to her. Now, it's kind of hard to do. It just seemed like it was kind of impossible, but this is what Daenerys wants, and of course what Daenerys wants gets done. So Hizdahr points out that he is the leader of his own house, and the guards take him away, and Daenerys then brings the house leaders to the chamber where she keeps the two remaining dragons and forces them inside. So she is now opening the fighting pits finally, and she says she basically says she does not give up on them. She has Dario push one of the leaders forward, and one of the dragons breathes fire on him, and the dragons share a meal, and Daenerys almost pushes Hizdahr forward as well, and he says Valir Morghulis, which of course that means all men must die. And she decides that, you know what, I'm going to let him live. You know, she doesn't want to kill everyone, so she decides to let him live, which I thought was good because, you know, she can't just kill everyone. That's not really what she wants to do. She doesn't want to kill everyone. And plus, what she wanted to do was kind of unreasonable, so she has her remaining leaders escorted away. I like that Daenerys is kind of realizing that she is doing some unreasonable stuff, and now she is starting to open up the fighting pit, which is really cool. So Sam reads a message regarding Daenerys' status in Slaver's Bay to Maester Aemon, who laments that Daenerys' last remaining family himself is unable to do anything to help her. He wants to help her, but he can't do anything. So Jon enters and asks to speak to Aemon alone, and Sam departs and Jon asks Aemon for advice, saying that there's something he has to do that he knows will divide the men, with half of them hating him for the decision. But before he can even explain what a decision is, Aemon tells him to do what he needs to be done, and he just says, kill the boy and let the man be free, be born. So basically, he wants him to kill the boy, but the question is, does Jon really want to do this? And I was wondering if Jon was actually going to do this, because obviously Jon's going to do what the Night's Watch wants him to do because he's loyal to them. So Jon meets with Tormund, and he asks where the rest of the free folk are and who leads them, and Tormund says that they still follow Mance, and Jon offers to free Tormund and allow him to take up leadership, and Jon explains that Tormund is not his enemy, which, no, he's not his enemy. And I like that he's trying to get Tormund on his side, because Tormund is against Jon. He shouldn't be. And I like that. So they allow him to take up leadership, and Jon explains that Tormund, basically, he says that the Night's Watch are sworn to protect the realms of men, and the free folk are part of that. And he offers the wildlings land to settle south of the wall if they agree to fight with the Night's Watch, which honestly I think is a good team up there. I think them allying with the Night's Watch is a good thing to do. The Night's Watch is really strong right now. I mean, think of all the stuff they've accomplished this season. They're really strong right now, and I think the Night's Watch are the right people to follow. So Jon accuses Tormund of being too cowardly to make peace, and Tormund says it's an easy thing to say to a man in chains. And Jon unchains him, and Tormund goes along with Jon, and he tells Jon that most of the free folk are at Hardhome, and will need ships to get there. So Tormund also says he won't leave unless Jon goes with him. So the question is Jon actually going to do this? So the Night's Watch gathers. As expected, the Night's Watch obviously isn't happy about this. They don't want Tormund to ally with them. I like that Sam is backing Jon up, though. That's the thing I love, that Sam seems like he always tries to ally with Jon. It's going to get him hurt, but, I mean, I like that he tries to ally with Jon, because What John's saying, it makes sense. It's not a terrible thing what he wants to do. I can understand why the Night's Watch doesn't think it's a good thing, 'cause it just came out of nowhere, but I think it honestly is a good idea. The rest are really angry about it, and they don't even want to talk about it. So John warns that if they don't help the wildings now, they'll only end up joining the army of the White Walkers as whites. So they need to be prepared because, of course, winter's coming, and honestly, if they have a bigger army, then they could probably survive winter, which is the right thing to do. So Ollie brings John his meal and tries to quickly exit. Silently, John stops him and tells him to say whatever is on his mind. And I like that John had talked with him about this, because I thought this was really good. Because Ollie believes that John must be trying to trick the wildings, but John says it's no trick and that he does want to ally with them. And John says he knows this is hard, but winter is coming, and they know it's coming with it, and they can't face it alone. Which, honestly, he has some points. And Ollie doesn't seem like he's interested. He's unmoved, he takes his leave, and so definitely there's going to be some friction between John and Ollie, which I like seeing. I like seeing the Night's Watch against John, and John makes his own decisions, which John's allowed to make his own decisions. He is. And I kind of see this being John against the Night's Watch. I don't think that's going to happen, but the Night's Watch for right now doesn't like what John's doing. But honestly, what he's doing is not a bad thing. The Wildings might ally with them. I mean, I can understand maybe they don't trust the Wildings, but I think they can trust the Wildings. I think the Wildings are somewhat trustworthy. Not 100% trustworthy, but I think they're somewhat trustworthy. So we'll see what happens there. So Brienne watches Winterfell from her room in a town nearby, and Pod's trying to tell Brienne that Sansa is okay now, and she's home and away from the Lannisters, which is the right thing, because that's obviously what Brienne wants. She wants her away from the Lannisters. And Brienne says that Sansa is in danger, even if she doesn't realize it, which I can kind of understand what she means. I mean, Sansa, she's in a good place right now, but of course she's allying with, Ramsey, of course, wants to marry her, and Ramsey's not really the best person to ally with, and we know the damage that he's done to Theon, so who knows what he could do to the rest of her family. So a servant enters the room, and Brienne asks if he knows Lord Eddard, and the servant says the Starks are gone now, and that the Boltons are in Winterfell, and Brienne says there's a Stark in Winterfell now, and that she needs to get a message to her. And Brienne says she still serves Lady Catelyn, and asks who the servant serves. Now, of course, Catelyn died, and I like that they are bringing up that, because, let's face it, Sansa is still grieving over that. I mean, she's never going to be able to get over the fact that she witnessed it, she's never going to be able to get over it, and yeah. So Miranda's expressing some bitterness over Ramsey's betrothal to Sansa, because obviously she liked Ramsey and wants to be with him. By the way, Miranda's really hot, I have to say. The girl's playing Miranda, really hot. He assures her that he still have time. Sorry, I had to say that. She's really hot. He assures her that he'll still have time for her even after he's married, and I like that he's keeping this promise to her, but honestly, what he's doing is wrong, but of course, I don't think Ramsey really cares that what he's doing is wrong, so she's still angry. Ramsey reminds her what happens to those who bore him, and they resume having sex, and, yeah, so kind of weird, but, not weird for the time, but that's basically what happened there. So Sansa's in her room, and her serving woman enters. The woman tells her that she's not alone in the north, and that if she ever needs help, to light a candle from the highest tower, which I thought was a really good scene. I like seeing that. I like seeing that this woman wants to help Sansa. And Sansa enters the God's Wood, and Miranda follows and asks Sansa about her dress. After introducing herself, she examines the dress more closely, and Sansa says she made the dress herself, that her mother taught her how. And it's kind of a sweet scene. I like seeing this. I like seeing Sansa talk about Catelyn. And Miranda says that's a gift so that whenever she makes something else, she'll think of her mother. And Miranda says there's something else to make her remember. And I thought that was a really sweet scene. I like seeing these two get closer. I kind of like their friendship, and I hope we see more of this. Because Miranda brings Sansa to the kennels, and she tells Sansa there's a surprise at the end, and sends her inside. And in the last I loved this. I was just like, oh my god, we finally are getting this. She finds Theon there, and oh my god, just the look on Sansa's face. She can't believe he's there. Theon just shakes his head. He tells her she shouldn't be here, pulls away when he moves toward her. And of course, he hasn't been called Theon in such a long time. She doesn't know that he's called Reek now, and she had no idea that that Theon was there. So Theon dresses Ramsey, and just, oh my, I feel so bad for Theon, seriously. What Theon's had to go through is insane, and this is definitely make me think that Sansa's going to rethink her decision to marry Ramsey. I don't think she has a choice, but she definitely is. I don't think she's going to go through with it. I really don't. I mean, if she finds out what Ramsey's done to her brother, there's no way she's going through with it, because we're already getting a Stark reunion, and I love it. This is really showing that we are this close to a Stark reunion. Honestly, Sansa meeting up with Theon just shows that we are close to a Stark reunion. So Theon dresses Ramsey and pours his wine, and Ramsey asks if Theon has something to tell him, and Theon says no at first, but then admits that that Sansa did see him, and Ramsey says that Theon mustn't keep secrets from him, and he tells him to get up on his knees and give him his hand. Ramsey takes it, says he forgives him, and it's really, honestly, what Ramsey's doing, he can't really control him anymore. I think that Sansa's going to get Theon to, say that, well, you're more powerful than Ramsey and that you can't do this anymore. And definitely, I think she's not going to marry Ramsey. So Ramsey, Roose, Sansa, and Walda take dinner together. Ramsey offers a toast to his and Sansa's wedding. Ramsey calls for more wine, and Theon brings it. Ramsey asks if Sansa's still angry about what Theon did, and he says the North remembers and that he punished Theon. He's not Ironborn anymore, but a new man, not Theon Greyjoy, but Reek Ramsey. And basically, I don't care his name is Rick Ramsey. I'm calling him Theon. That's his name. That's what he wants to be called. And he says that Theon has something to say to Sansa, and Ramsey tells him to apologize for what he did and the murder of her two brothers. He apologized without looking at her first, and Ramsey forces him to do it again better. And once it's done, Ramsey points out that Theon is the nearest thing to kin that Sansa has there, and that decides that Theon will give Sansa away at the wedding. Which I think makes sense, definitely. I think that makes sense that he's doing that, but I don't think Sansa's going to get married to you now. Here's the thing, Ramsey. Why would Sansa marry you if she knows the things you've done to her brother, the terrible things you've done to her brother? There's no way she's going to marry you. I don't think Ramsey's going to give her a choice, but I don't think she's going to go through with it. I really don't. I don't see Sansa dying this season, but I don't think she's going to go through this wedding. There's no way she's going through with it. There's just no way. So Roose and Walda announced that they're pregnant and that it's probably a boy, and I thought that was kind of sweet that we saw that. So Ramsey and Roose discuss the pregnancy, and Ramsey's angry and mocks Walda. He is not happy this is happening, but Roose counters by saying that Ramsey embarrassed himself at dinner, and he kind of deserves it. And Ramsey's worried about his position, and Roose points out that Ramsey is never asked about his mother. And Roose tells Ramsey she was a peasant girl, wife of the miller that he hanged before raping her, and she showed up a year later with Ramsey, and Roose had the woman whipped, and the baby... Sorry, guys, there was a bug on my hair. That was weird. But, basically, the baby thrown in the river, but then she saw the boy was his son, and just as he does now, and basically... Roose says that Stannis is coming for Winterfell, and asks for Ramsey's help in defeating him. And this is really setting up the awesome war that's going to happen. I mean, definitely, we know that it's going to be Roose, Ramsey, and all of them versus Stannis and, Jon and Night's Watch. That's definitely going to happen. So I think it's really cool they're setting that up, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. But here's the thing. Do you think that Jon's possibly going to get to ally with them as well? I mean, if he knows that Ramsey is with Sansa. He doesn't know anything about Theon, so is Sansa going to keep that from him? Or I feel like Sansa would tell him that. I mean, definitely I feel like he's going to meet up with Sansa, because he has to. Obviously, Sansa's going to stay with them, and this is just showing that we're going to get that reunion that we wanted, and I can't wait for it, definitely. The only person that's not in the fold right now that's close to the Stark reunion is Arya, but Arya, I think, is always going to be in her own place. Really, I think that's always going to happen. So Sam and Gilly are in the library. They talk about how many books there are, and Gilly displays her ignorance over just how many books there really are in the world. And Sam talks of the Citadel in Hightown and how he thought of being a maester before being sent to the Wall. And Stannis enters and Gilly leaves, and Stannis knows of Sam's father, and Stannis asks how Sam killed a walker, and Sam tells Stannis about the dragon glass, but he still doesn't know why it worked, and Stannis says the dead will march on the wall, and that they need to know how to fight them, and Stannis tells Sam to keep reading. So, basically, they're going to find out how to kill the dead, and I think it's really interesting. So, because obviously, there's going to be a huge fight with the White Walkers, which I can't wait for. I definitely feel like that's going to be the episode 9 of this year. I feel like definitely episode 9 is going to be another Night's Watch episode, which it was really good last year. I really liked the Night's Watch episode last year, so I think it's going to happen again this year, and if it does, it could be really cool. So Stannis finds Davos, says it's time to march on. Davos suggests waiting for Jon to return with more wildings, but Stannis is more worried about the coming winter, because Davos, of course, thinks that they're going to ally with the wildings. Stannis doesn't really care about that. He's worried that, winter's coming, and that's what he's concerned about. So Stannis also says the queen and princess will be coming with them. So that's basically, the thing is, though, is Jon going to agree to this? Because it seems like Jon is going to make the decisions now. Stannis doesn't really get to make these decisions. So Stannis' men prepare to leave Castle Black, and Shireen speaks to Davos of wanting to visit the crypts at Winterfell where all the kings of the North were buried, and Stannis tells Jon that he hopes he knows what he's doing. And Stannis says he needs those ships. He's loaning Jon, and Jon swears to return them. And Jon meets eyes with Melisandre before Stannis' people ride out. So basically, that's what happened there. So in Marine, Missandei watches Grey Worm, and he finally wakes up, and, she was watching over him, and he asks about Barristan Selmy, and she has to tell him the really sad truth that he's dead, and Grey Worm feels shame over what happened, because he really feels like he could have saved him, and I really do feel bad for Grey Worm. I mean, he really feels like he could have saved Barristan, and yeah, he could have, but, I mean, Barristan sacrificed himself. There's nothing he could have done. So he explains it's not because he was wounded in combat, but because he felt fear, not of death, but of seeing Missandei again. And Missandei kisses him, showing him that he has nothing to be scared about. So Daenerys asks Missandei for her thoughts on what to do about the Masters, and Missandei tells Daenerys that she can often see a better choice than any of her advisors, and Daenerys finds his Dar in his cell. He begs for mercy, saying he doesn't want to die, but Daenerys tells his Dar that she was wrong, and his Dar was right about tradition and bring the the city back together. She agrees to reopen the fighting pits, but to free men only. She then says that she will, and which I think is the right thing to do. Even, her dragons, they're really not in the best position right now, so free men, that's the right thing to do. I like that she is starting to listen to him and not go against him, and she'll even marry his daughter to form a lasting relationship with the Myronese people to basically get on their side again. Because obviously they're against her right now, they want nothing to do with her, she knows this, and she wants to ally with them, so I like seeing that. So, the end of the episode, we see Tyrion walks up on the boat with Jorah and asks where they are now, and Jorah remains silent, and Tyrion apologizes for what happened before, and Tyrion asks for wine, but Jorah refuses, and Jorah sees land coming into view, and Tyrion recognizes it as Valyra, and Tyrion warns of the doom, but Jorah is counting on it to keep it pirate's way, and they sail down the smoking river through Valyria, and Tyrion recounts a poem about the doom from the history books, recounting how this ground cracked and fire burst forth, burning the city to the ground, and he sees a dragon, and I was just like, yes, finally, they're close to Daenerys, flying overhead. However, then a stone man, just out of nowhere, the stone man drops into the sea, then another onto the boat. Jorah warns Tyrion not to let them touch him as Jorah fights them off. I mean, it's crazy. This stone man just came out of nowhere. And Tyrion begs Mormont to cut him free as more stonemen crawl on board the ship. When the stoneman chases Tyrion until he falls overboard, a stoneman grabs Tyrion, drags him down the water, and Tyrion awakens and sees Jorah's face. Jorah cuts the binding off of Tyrion, and Jorah asks if any of them touched him, and Tyrion shakes his head, so Jorah saved him, which I thought was really good. So Tyrion says he's seen grayscale before, but nothing like that, and Jorah supposes that's why they send the Stone Man away. And Jorah says they walk from here but rest for now, and I'm just like, what is going on? Why is Jorah being so nice to him? And Jorah looked out over the water, he sees that Tyrion is turned away, and we see that Jorah has the grayscale virus. So now that he has, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to be like a thing that everyone starts to get, they're going to start to get this grayscale, and if that's true, that could be really interesting to see what this grayscale, now who started this grayscale virus? We don't know where it came from. All we know is that Shireen has it, and now Jorah has it, but who else could get it? How do you get it? We don't know these things yet, and I'm interested in seeing what actually happens there. How do you get the grayscale virus? I think that's really interesting overall, because I don't think they've really ever had a story like that before. I think that's really interesting. Let's talk about Sansa, because I don't think Sansa is going to marry Ramsey after what, Theon did. But do you think Theon's going to try to convince her to marry Ramsey? I mean, there are a lot of possibilities that could happen, but I guess we'll have to see what happens there. Is the Night's Watch going to agree to ally with, the Wildlings? Obviously, Jon wants to, but they don't seem like they really want to, so is Jon going to convince them to ally with them? I'm not really sure. I guess we'll have to see what happens there. I like seeing the whole scene. I like seeing Miranda and Sansa bond well. I hope we see more of that because I like seeing them bond together. What's gonna happen with Daenerys? Do you think she did the right thing in opening up the fighting pits? I think definitely she did the right thing there. We'll see what happens. Brienne I know wants to go after Stannis, but I think Sansa's safe where she is. I think Brienne needs to realize that. Also, I can't wait to see what happens. We know that Jon and the Wildlings are going to meet up with Sansa, and it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait for that to happen. That's definitely the thing I'm looking forward to the most. There's definitely going to be some clashing between Jon and Ollie. I can't wait to see what happens there. Is Jorah going to hide this grayscale virus from Tyrion? I don't know if he's gonna be able to. Honestly, I really don't know. I guess we'll have to see what happens there. Um, and also, his Dar is Daenerys. Are Daenerys and his Dar really gonna get married? Is that gonna happen? Well, we'll have to see what happens there. So that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys saw this episode. Overall, guys, I thought this was the best episode of the season. I'm really enjoying the season. We're now at the half point of the season, and a lot's gonna happen. I definitely feel like there's a war coming, and I can't wait for it. And there's something gonna be a White Walker war, which I'm looking forward to. And that's in my review. And I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of Mad Men. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.